record. Cool, we got that. All right. So I want to thank, all right, so we're going to get started now. It's 9:45. I want to thank everyone that's in here, that's currently on the call. And I also want to thank everyone who's deciding to watch this presentation a little bit later. So this is Infrastructure of a Man's Setting Your Intentions, session number 7. So we've been going at this thing for 7 days. Really been doing a lot in these 7 days, gentlemen. I'm proud of everyone that's been a part of this thing. I'm proud of everyone who decided to come in and be a part of it. We're here to change our lives and to change the lives of those that we come in contact with. So real quick, what is Infrastructure of a Man? For those of you all who are new, Infrastructure of a Man is an organization and consulting business that works with men to help them overcome mental blocks and stuck points. We also help men restructure their ideas as well as help them create new ideas. We work together to form a support system where men can go to be understood, supported, as well as have an accountability group that will encourage one another to achieve the goals that they have for their lives. Our aim is to ensure that real men prevail. So about myself, a little bit about me. Who am I? I am Virgil Johnson. Some people know me as Virgil Johnson. Some people know me as my Hebrew name, which is Or Ibri. I am an author, consultant, public speaker, a husband, a father. For those who don't know, I published 2 works. The first work I published is Making Your Enemy Your Footstool: How to Use the American System to Your Benefit as a Black Individual in America. I also published the second work, which is a journal. It's called The Garden Bed of Life Journal. In that journal, I help people take their ideas, which start off as seeds, and bring them all the way to fruition, which is them harvesting their crops. Both of those works you can find on Amazon. They are published and they are on Amazon. If you want to go and purchase those works, or you know someone who these works might be beneficial for, and you want to purchase it and give it to them, feel free to do that. I want to do a recap of what we've been going over so far for those of y'all who are new. So on day 1, like I said, this is our 7th meeting. So on day 1, we did setting our intentions. What we did was we chose what it is that we want to be focused on for the next 365 days. Then the next day, what we did was we went through our SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis stands for our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. Those, understanding things are very important and very crucial when it comes to understanding what it is or achieving what it is that you're trying to achieve with your goal. The next thing that we went over was our SMART goals. SMART goals stand for making sure that it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant to what it is that you're doing in the bigger picture, and that it's time sensitive. So your SMART goals ensure that you're on track and online to go and achieve whatever it is that you wanted to achieve. The next day, which was day 1, 2, 3, 4, we went over the 5 W's of goal success. So we've all been taught who, what, when, where, why, and how. But when it comes to goal success, it goes in a little bit different order. So the order is starting off first. Where do I want to go? It's very important to know where it is that you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go at, you're going to always be spinning around in circles. You're going to always feel like you're lost. You're going to always feel like you have no purpose. You're going to lack a vision. You don't have a vision, so you don't know where to go. It's like shooting in the dark. Like you can't hit a target if you don't know where to aim at. The next one is why do I want to go there? Very important to know why you want to do what you want to do. A lot of us, we figure out, hey, I want to go here, but we never discover what the why is. So then we get there because the reason in which we wanted to do it isn't strong enough, we give up and quit. Now, you're going to go through trials and adversities, but the reason why it's important to know why it is that you want to do what you want to do is so that way you don't go through unnecessary trials and adversity and reaching goals. As we know, you only get a certain amount of energy in life. Once that energy runs out or is depleted, you don't get any more. So if you waste energy on unnecessary trials and tribulations, that's less energy you have to put for what it is that you actually want to do. So that's why it's very important to know why it is that you want to do something, so that way you don't waste time, energy, and effort and resources in something that wasn't meant for you to be doing in the first place. The next thing is, how am I going to do this? as important as where and why, how. You got to know how you're going to do it. You got to know what your vehicle is. You got to know how you're going to get to where it is that you're trying to get to. The next is what is going to be required of me. This is the most important part in the 5 W's. We come up with these grand goals and these grand dreams, and we figure, oh, here's my why. I want to da-da-da, all this and that. And then this is how I'm going to make it happen. But then we never think about the trials and tribulations that we actually have to go through. We think about all the positives. We never take into account all the negatives. We never take into account all of the tribulations. We don't. So then what happens is when things start getting hard, because we never prepared ourselves mentally for it, we give up and quit. So that's why it's very important to be able to identify what is going to be required of you, so that way you can have an honest conversation with yourself and say, is this what I'm willing to do in order to get to what it is that I want? If I'm not willing to do that, then I need to go find something else to do. If I am willing to do that, then I know come hell or high water, ain't nothing going to stop me from achieving this goal. After the what is the who. Who do I need to get there? You have to have a team. No man is an island by himself. You have to have a team. You have to be able to have individuals that can help you along the way. No man can do everything by himself. And if you try to do everything by yourself, you're going to set yourself back. Terrence, you own a clothing company. I know you don't do everything by yourself. I know you have help. And it's because you have help that you are able to reach certain goals, like being a part of Fashion Week in Paris next month. So you can attest to this firsthand. You have to have a team, because if you try to do it by yourself, you're not going to be as successful. There was a quote that I heard from my ex-wife's brother, and when he told me this, I loved it. He said, and I'm pretty sure he got it from somebody else, but he said, we could go faster by ourselves, but we could go farther together. So whatever it is that you're trying to attain, you can do some great things really quickly by yourself, but it takes networking, partnerships, connections, friendships, companionships, all of that to take you further than you can than just doing it by yourself. And the last part of the, two more. The last part of the 5 W's of goal setting is, when are we going to get started and how long will it take? So you got to know when you're going to get started. You got to know how long it's going to take. The next day after that, we did reverse engineering of our goals. So the reason why most people, kind of fall off of their goals is because they're starting at where they're at. When you reverse engineer your goals, you start with the end in mind and then you move your way backwards. And what that does is that causes you to now you can't predict everything, you cannot, but it gives you a more clear vision of where it is that you have to go. So there's less pit stops that you have to take. If I know, like for instance, we all did our goal setting and everything like that. So my main thing is I want to be a men's life consultant that helps 800 men this year. So now what I do is to reverse engineer back from that. What does a consultant for men, a life consultant for men, look like that's helped 800 men by the end of this year? What does that look like? And then I start moving my way backwards. And we visualize ourselves in the first person, not the third person. We visualize ourselves in the first person point of view. On that day, our goal date, which is 365 days, on that 365th day, what does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? We get ourselves emotionally tied, and then we work our way backwards from there to today, where we're at now. And then yesterday we did our mental health evaluation, just making sure everybody's good, seeing where they're at. And we're also have been implementing a 21-day fast. So on this 21-day fast, we've given up physical things, and then we've given up attributes, or we're fasting from attributes that hold us back from reaching our goals. So for instance, I'm fasting from the physical things: meat, processed foods, processed sugars, rice, bread. That's the physical thing I'm fasting from. Those are things that I love. So I'm fasting from those. On the other side, characteristics, I'm fasting from procrastination, information overload, a couple of other things I'm fasting for as well. I don't have my notebook right here on me. But what the point of the fast is as we know, in order to achieve or to have anything, you have to make sure, you have to sacrifice something. Without any sacrifice, there's no reward. So after our 21-day fast, we want to go to the Creator and say, hey, I sacrifice these things that I love, and also sacrifice these things that are hindrances to me. And now I need you to take the sacrifices that I'm giving as an offering and open up the paths and the doorways to the goal in which I'm trying to achieve. So that's the purpose of the 21-day fast. All right, so I want to jump into today's topic. Real quick before that, is there anyone that have any questions about what it is that we've went over or done so far that haven't been in any of the group meetings yet? Terrence, Stanford, y'all got any questions or y'all good?
No, sir, I don't have no questions.
All right, cool. All right, so today what I want to go over is fears and what we can do to defeat them. It's great to be able to know what it is that you're doing. It's great to be able to know how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, what all it takes to get it done, have all your resources and everything like that. But if that little thing in the back of your head holds you back, what'll happen is you'll self-sabotage. So you'll do all you need to do to become successful. And then because of whatever fears you may have, you will literally destroy everything that you've built. And it's going to be, even if you don't, sometimes we don't think the things that we do are purposeful, but they are purposeful when you don't address them. So I want to go over how to overcome and defeat some of these fears that we're going through. So that way we don't put in all this work to build what it is that we want to build and then end up messing it up because we're afraid of that success or we're afraid of not knowing what that looks like. So right here, I got a quote from Napoleon Hill from the book Outwitting the Devil. Failures are man-made circumstances. They're never real until accepted by man as permanent. So we got to, I want to put that in the front of our minds really quick. Failure, fears, they're all man-made. They're man-created. I want to go into that next, a little bit. Go into that real quick. So I'm going to give a quick definition of what fear is. Fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief, and I want to make sure y'all see that I've highlighted and underlined belief, because that's very important. The belief that someone or something is dangerous and likely to cause pain or a threat. So I got a question real quick, and I want everybody to put their answer in the chat. Actually, I'll go around and ask everyone, give you a few seconds to think about it. What is your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear? I'm going to give everybody about 10 seconds to think. What is their biggest fear? And I'm going to call on everyone, to kind of share. You don't have to go into detail right now about why it is, but just share out loud, what is your biggest fear? Let me give y'all a couple of seconds to do that real quick. All right, so question, what is your biggest fear? I'm going to start off first. My biggest fear is not living up to my full potential in this life that I've given. And I'll go into explanation later on why that's my biggest fear, but that's my biggest fear, not living up to my full potential in this life that I've been given. Derek, what's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, what came to my mind was my family. Like losing them.
Got you. Okay. Alex, what's your biggest fear?
It was similar, but not, just not being able to provide what my family may need in that moment, whatever that season we're in.
Got you. Stanford, what's your biggest fear?
Same with Derek said, losing my family and not being the best dad.
Got you. And Terrence, what's your biggest fear?
I don't have any at this time.
You said you don't have any, to be honest. I like that, man. Hey, I like that, man. No fear. No fears. I like that, man. And that's okay. Some people are there. Some people have overcome everything that was put in line to destroy them. So that's good, man. I appreciate that honesty. Appreciate that honesty. You're not claiming something that's not there. All right. So my definition of what fear is, or Ibra, y'all know my definition of what fear is a lack of knowledge or information, the state of being uninformed, the unknown. Majority of the time, our fears come from us not having the information on that thing. So let's say, for instance, you're in school and you got a kid who's bullying you, he's beating you up, you're afraid of him. You don't necessarily fear the bully because you fear the bully. You fear the bully because you don't know how to defeat the bully. If you knew how to defeat him, you wouldn't fear him. When he tried to fight you, you'd be like, all right, come on, man, let's do this. If you knew he had a bum knee, or you knew he was real slow, whatever, whatever it is, or you knew that you had the skill set to beat him, you wouldn't fear him. So that's what comes to majority of our fears, if not all of our fears in our life. It's just a lack of knowledge and information. Because typically, once you get that knowledge and information, that thing in which you fear, it dissipates, it goes away, because that mystery, the mysteriousness of the unknown is gone. You know how to defeat it now. So now there's nothing to fear if you know how to beat it. So I want to do a quick reading from scripture real quick in regards to fear. So I want to start off in Deuteronomy 20 in regards to the sin of fear. And this is very important that I read this. Very important that I read this. So give me 1 second to pull this up. And if anybody else got their words out in front of them, they can get it out. Deuteronomy 20. All right, I'm gonna read from the ESV version, English Standard Version. So it says here, now, preface Deuteronomy 20 real quick. The Most High is giving directions about when you're going up against an enemy, what to do, how to, go up against this enemy. And there's certain things that I really want to touch on so that way we can see, what's going on and why we're doing these things. So he says here, when you go out to war against your enemies and you see horses and chariots and an army larger than your own, you shall not be afraid of them. For the Most High, your Elohim, is with you, who brought you up from out of the land of Egypt. And when you draw near to battle, the priest shall come forward and speak to the people and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are drawn near to battle against your enemies. Let not your heart faint. Do not fear or panic or be in dread of them. For Yah, your Elohim, is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies and to give you victory. And I'm gonna skip down a little bit. So then it says here, I'm skipping down to verse 6. And if there's any man who was planting the vineyard and has not enjoyed its fruit, let him go back to his house, lest he die in battle and another man enjoy its fruit. And if there's any man who was betrothed a wife and has not taken her, let him go back to his house, lest he die in battle and another man take her. And the officer shall speak further to the people and say, if there's any man who is fearful and fainted-hearted, this is the most important part. If there is any man who is fearful and fainting-hearted, let him go back to his house, unless he will make the heart of his fellow men melt like his own. So literally this verse tells you right here, the Creator gave us instructions on not to fear. So it's a sin to be in fear. It's a sin to have fear. So whatever you got going on in your life, whether it be a physical enemy, whether it be a spiritual enemy, whether it be an enemy of the state, whether it be your own self, your own mind, thoughts, someone in your house, outside of your house, your job, somebody at your job, your boss, whomever it is, you are not supposed to be in any type of fear of that circumstance. Even if your boss is threatening you to lose your job, you still don't operate in any fear. Even if you got your wife is threatening to leave, you still operate in no fear. Even if you're telling yourself, even if it's something you want to accomplish, and you got thoughts in the back of your head telling you can't do it, you operate in no fear. And the verse down here at the bottom where it says, anybody who is fearful, get them from around you. That's why it's very important. This is why we're here at Infrastructure of a Man, to pour into one another. Because the company you keep will determine what it is that you do and who it is that you are. So if you have fearful people around you, what do you think is going to happen to you? How do you think you're going to start responding to stuff? If you're consistently interacting with people who are fearful, you're going to be fearful. It is what it is. So that's why the Most High commanded us to not be fearful, because if you are operating any fear, look, gentlemen, we are all gentlemen here, and we all have some type of assignment here on this earth. We all have something we all have a power greater than other people in certain areas, and we're supposed to be exercising that power. And we were created with this power to accomplish certain goals. But if you're afraid, then you're not going to accomplish the goals in which you have set forth to accomplish. So when I asked y'all earlier that question about what do you fear, and majority of you all said you fear losing your family, you have to ask yourself why. What is the unknown and what is the lack of information that isn't there that causes you to fear losing your family? You have to ask yourself that question. You have to think about that. I want to go right here to read Numbers 13, 25 through 33 real quick. What happens when you do fear something? And then I want to read Joshua 2, 5 through 11. What happens when what you actually fears you? I want to read these two verses because this is like a microcosm of us in life. This is children of Israel in the wilderness. So I'm going to read 13, 25, starting at verse 25. Let me get here real quick. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from spying out the land, and they came to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh. These are the spies that the Most High Moses sent out to go spy the land of Canaan because they were about to invade the land of Canaan and take over the land of Canaan. So these spies, they brought back word to them, and they brought back word to them and to all of the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they said to them, we came in the land which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of the Anak there. The Amaleks dwell in the land of the Negab, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. I'm gonna skip down some. Caleb was telling the people, don't be afraid. Basically, Caleb said, be quiet. With the people before Moses, let us go and come up at once and occupy. So he's trying to let them know, no, we can do this. We can get this done. Because they're basically saying, hey, man, this is too much. And so skip it down a little bit. So they brought to the people of the land of Israel a bad report of that land, and they had spied out, saying that the land, though, which we have gone to spy out, is a land that devours its inhabitants. And all the people that we saw in it are of great height. And there we saw the Nephilim, the son of the Anak, who have come from the Nephilim, and we seem to ourselves like grasshoppers. And so we seem to them. So what the spies said was, to us, we feel like grasshoppers compared to these people. These people are large. These people are going to destroy us. These people, they're going to beat us. Like there's no way that we're going to be able to occupy and overtake this land. That's what the spies said about the land of Canaan. Let me go to Joshua 2. Now, Joshua is one of the spies that went into the land of Canaan. This is a story, kind of from his account or whatever. So he was talking to someone in the land. This is what the individual in the land said to Joshua, who was one of the spies. She said, and when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for we'll overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof and hit them with the stalk of flax, and she had laid in order of the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan as far as the fords, and the gate was shut out as soon as the pursuers had gone out. Before the men lay down, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, so she said this to Joshua and the spies that were with him, I know that the Most High has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and that all of the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For we have heard that the Most High dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and when you did go to the two kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Shihon and Og, whom you devoted and devoured to destruction. And as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For Yah, your Elohim, he is the Elohim in the heavens and above, on all the earth beneath. So this right here, and I wanted to make sure I touched on that. This right here that we just read, This is the difference between what you think of problems and what problems think of you. So here they are, afraid of people who are afraid of them. This is why it's important not to fear, because whatever it is that your problem is that you're dealing with, you already can overtake the problem. Like, the problem don't want to deal with you. Like, you got, like, some of us, a lot of us within the last, say, 2 months have been going through something with our spouse. And a lot of times we have that feel, like you all said, we don't want to lose our family. Or we don't want to get into it with our wives or whatever like that. But you know what's crazy? Our wife, a lot of times we avoid conflict or we avoid adversity, but majority of the times our wife wants us to be demanding. Our wife wants us to stand up, to put our foot down. Now, she might show you some resistance, but she wants you to put that foot down, because that's showing her that you are in control of the situation. Your wife don't want you to be passive. Your wife wants you to put that foot down and say, no, this is how we doing it. But we operate in a fear, and the very thing in which we fear is actually the thing that needs to happen. So that's why it's very important, like, don't operate in any fear. Allow that fear to dissipate. Get educated on whatever it is that's holding you back, so that way you can have the information to defeat the problem. Very, very simple. Very simple concept. Get the information so that way you can defeat the problem. Let me check to make sure there's no one in the waiting room. Give me 1 second here. All right. All right, so understand, most of the fears you hold on were given to you by someone else, or stems from a fear that was given to you by somebody else. I wanna put a fun fact up here real quick. Science has proven that when a baby is born, the only thing it fears is loud noises. So going back to what I said earlier, most of your fears are given to you by somebody else, or stem from a fear given to you by somebody else. Where did that fear come from that you have? Think about what you all told me, what your biggest fear is. Where did that fear come from? How did that fear get in you? If you were only born with the fear of loud noises, how did the fear of losing your family ever get planted into your mind? Think about that. Take a couple of seconds to think about that. Stanford, share with us, take about 15 to 30 seconds to share. What do you think that fear of losing your family might have come from?
Past situations with my wife and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Derek, what about yourself?
I'm actually in the healing phase from the fear, since I'm isolated right now, and then I had earlier, I was on my Facebook, and a memory I had post, I had looked at, hold on, I'm go to it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I had made a video actually, man, and last year on this date, I had posted Psalms 34 verse 4. I sought the Lord and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm pretty much I'm in that healing phase.
Got you.
And and that's why I had put in the chats, I had mentioned facts, because that is true, especially with the wife. When you're away from, when you embrace the moment, going back from the past discussions of the session we had right now, when you being present, and embracing the moment, and just doing all you can, even if it's some cards you got dealt with that you didn't, didn't put to play with,
Mm-hmm.
but you work with what you have and just keep pushing.
Sir.
And only person you should fear is God.
Mm-hmm. Pineapple, I know you, Terrence, I know you said you don't have any fears. Your last fear that you had, what was that fear rooted in? What was its root? Where did it come from?
Self-esteem issues.
Got you. Okay. All right. And Alex, what about your fear? Where did that root from?
Um, I mean, one thing that stands out was not being able to be home for my family when my home got broken into. I
Yeah,
mean, we was grateful that my wife actually wasn't home, but I mean, I was 3 hours away for work at that point. So even if they needed me, I wasn't gonna be there. So it kind of, yeah, just not being able to be there to protect them in that moment or in a moment when they might need me.
got you. Okay, that's on a whole another level. Yeah, because I mean, you can't. Yes, yeah. In
That's
the
deep
moment,
right
yeah, you
there.
can't. Yeah. You said what was that?
So that's deep right there. That's a
Yeah.
perspective to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
That's why I should always plead the blood, with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I know for me, my biggest fear, like I told y'all, is not living up to my fullest potential. And I can say that fear is rooted in in not feeling like enough. I dealt with a lot of things in my life and whatnot, and some of it has been self-inflicted. Some of it has been, inputted on me by others. But me being an individual, and I'm working through this, and that there, like you said, and I'm in that healing process as well. So it's not something that's bothered me. I was just talking to my therapist about it today, and she gave me a great perspective. She said, if you were to die tomorrow, would you be happy with your life? And I was about to say no, and she was like, don't think about the goals you did not accomplish yet. She said, think about, are you on the path to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish? Like, are you doing what you need to do every day? And I said, yeah. She said, all right, then. So would you be content with your life? She said, based off of that, not based off of the amount of goals that you hit and didn't hit. I said, yeah. She said, all right, good. That's where you're supposed to be at. And as I thought about that, it hit me was like that feeling of not being enough stems from, most of you all know, and Terrence mentioned it earlier, I'm always eating, I'm still growing. I'm 6'9". So growing up, I was supposed to, I played basketball, all throughout my childhood growing up. Basketball was not something that I enjoyed doing. Like I enjoyed doing a lot of other things. But because it wasn't my passion, I didn't always put forth the best effort. Now, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't as good as I could have been. But I was just doing it because that's what I was forced to do. Like, my parents made me play. Coaches wouldn't let me do nothing else. Like, it was the whole backdrop that I could go to in on a later date. But because I wasn't living up to my potential and the only thing that I was allowed to do, I was always criticized. So I always felt, so then I developed this mindset that I'm not living up to my potential. And I carried that with me until my adulthood, until recently when I realized, hold on, that I didn't base my self-worth on something that I didn't want to do in the first place. That's retarded. Simple as that. That's ridiculous of me. And once I started doing what it is that I want to do, and have I been putting in the work for that? Yes. And when my therapist really brought it home for me today, it really hit like, no, I'm living the life I want to live now. I may not be at the level that I want to be at, but I'm living that life I want to live now. And I'm doing every day what it takes to reach and attain my goals. So now I'm in that healing phase, like you said, dear, of that goal. But that's what mine stemmed from, just in the thought process of not feeling like I was enough. So that's
Man,
that. What was that?
and that's amazing, because I'm looking at this right now, and it says, none of us is worthy of God's love and attention till he called by him and to accept his invitation to be chosen and rescued in spite of our absolute unworthiness, require us to trust him, which includes letting him make whatever changes to our lives he deems best. And when we do, fear no longer has a place. Fear not, God can redeem your choices and use them for good. Fear not, God can heal your heart, your body, and your relationships. Fear not, you were made for more than what you have experienced so far. Fear not, the King of the universe has called you by name.
Good. Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful, man. So I got a quick question here. And we, think about this, and you can reflect on it a little bit later. Like I stated earlier, the only fear you came in the world with is the fear of loud noises. Where did you pick up all of your other fears from? You have to ask yourself that question. Where did I get these fears from? where they come from, why are they there? Because you have to know where these things came from so you can get them out, get rid of them, and that way you don't self-sabotage. The whole reason why we're doing this, going over this today, is so that way what it is that we want, we don't self-sabotage. We don't build up with one hand and then tear down with the other. And like, for instance, it'd be crazy for Terrence to have put in all this work to get the Fashion Week of Paris next month, and then right when he's supposed to get on the plane, he's like, man, what if my clothing brand not good? And what if they don't like it? And then he don't get on the plane. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely asinine. He wouldn't do that. Because he's addressed all of those fears that hold him back from tearing down everything that he's built up. So you have to make sure you ask yourself that question. Write that down. If you got notepad, pen, paper, y'all should have notepad, pen, paper. Write that down. Or put it in your phone real quick. If the only fear you came into this world with is the fear of loud noises, where did you pick up all of your other fears from? And really think about that. Because whether we know it or not, fear has shaped majority of our lives. Fear has. A lot of us have made decisions based on fear at some point in time in our life. I think I told y'all this story real quick. When I graduated high school in 2007, I went to college after that basketball scholarship. When I got to college, I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. I didn't know what it was that I wanted to be. But y'all know 2007 was the Great Recession. So a lot of people were losing jobs, losing work, all this and that. So I was like, okay, I feared not having a job. And so I literally chose a major, which was criminal justice, not because I love, things about criminal justice. I enjoyed it. I enjoy everything. That's just me. I love learning. But my choosing a major was steeped in the fear of not having a job. Not because this is what I'm great and talented at, and I'm going to always be able to find work no matter what, because this is my talent. No, I'm afraid of losing something. So I'm going to try to get into something where the probability of me losing it is less. We all have made decisions like that in our life, some way, shape, or form. So think about that. And then, we'll talk about that tomorrow when we get on the call. All right, so we want to move forward here. So we want to get to, how do we overcome our fears? Talk a little bit about this. So the first thing, make sure we're writing this down, fellas. And then we get into more depth, a little bit more in depth with it a little bit later. But the first thing we have to do is identify the fear and their root causes. You can't know how to get rid of something or overcome something or beat something if you don't know what it is and you don't know where it came from. So for instance, those of us who have played sports like football, you can't beat the other team if you don't know what plays they run. Can't beat the other team if you don't know, who their star players are. If you don't know, what plays they like to run, what are their go-to plays, what is their philosophy. If I know a team's philosophy is what is it? Run and shoot. Is that what it's called? Throw and shoot, whatever. So I know they like to run 80, 90 plays a game. Well, I know how to tailor my defense to that. But if I don't understand what their philosophy is rooted in, then I'm going to get ran off the field. So we have to know what the fear is, identify it, and its root causes. The next thing is understanding that 95% of what you make up in your mind isn't true. Majority of our fears are based off of things that we've created in our mind. And 95% of that is based off of things that just don't make sense at all, man. They just don't make sense at all. Let me see here. Hold on one second. I got somebody who said they're trying to get in. Hold on, I got somebody trying to get in. Give me 1 second. Let me see if they're here. All right, they left out. They'll probably come back. All right. So understand that 95% of what you make up in your mind isn't true. We do a lot of that, gentlemen. We do a lot of mirroring. We do a lot of projecting. What our minds like to do is keep us protected. So it tries to predict the future, so that way it lessens our exposure to harm. But majority of those things are steeped or rooted in some type of fear or some type of something that we're scared of. So we got to understand that and really get down to the root of it and unlock all of that, unpack all of that. And then the last thing is educate yourself. Like I stated before, fear is the lack of knowledge and information. That's what fear is. So if you lack information or knowledge, you just educate yourself in it. We got fear of losing our family. Alex, you gave a beautiful perspective. Yours wasn't, oh, my wife walking out on me. Yours was, my wife walking in the house, I'm not there, and I can't protect her if there's someone in the house there, because you had a situation where someone had broken into your house and your wife came home and the whole house was ransacked. So that is a very scary fear. But I know since then you have taken measures to ensure that that doesn't happen. Can you share with us some of the measures that you've taken to kind of overcome that fear, or this, stop that from happening again?
Well, I mean, even in the old house, we had a security system. We had cameras, but before they broke in, they cut the power to the house.
Yeah.
So all that technology meant nothing, which never really crossed my mind before. So yeah, now it's. I mean, we moved to another house at this point.
Okay.
It's got its own security system, got its own cameras, but it's got battery backup too, and
yes,
a hard drive it uploads to.
Okay,
So
good.
I mean,
And what else have you done?
I mean, I got my shotgun upstairs. Everyone got their gun in the house. Gabriel's 5, so maybe next year he get his. No, I'm just kidding.
hey, look, I got Liam. His little BB gun. We be out there in the backyard shooting. Yeah, man. Yeah. Give him a little cap gun.
We'll start with a water gun and see how it goes. But it's just, yeah. I keep something upstairs. I keep something downstairs. I keep something in this room, and I mean, you never. It's you can't predict the world, but I mean,
you can do the best you can.
Yeah, just prepare. You never know what's tomorrow, but hey,
absolutely.
I got a life raft just in case the flood comes. Down in Florida, that water be hitting sometimes. You always got to be ready.
Yes, sir. Terrence, how did you educate yourself on overcoming your fear, the last thing that you were dealing with, your self-esteem? What education did you take and then implement to overcome that?
Well, I started being around only quality people, changing my circle, listening to personal development audios, and just believing in my personality.
Got you. Good. Stanford, what are sitting here thinking? And I know you said that your fear, one of your fears, like a few of the other gentlemen, is losing your family. What are some things maybe that you can do that you've thought of, and you do more research? But what are some things that you can implement that can help you overcome that fear of losing your family?
Well, I had not too long recently did therapy, 4 weeks of therapy and stuff. So a little bit of did some of that.
Okay, good. All right, and I know you said you did the therapy. Is there anything else off the top of your head that you feel like you can start doing that'll help get rid of that feeling?
I mean, just all I can do is just right now, just wait and let God do the rest.
Okay.
I got a therapist I still see after this though, once a week, but
okay, good.
That's all I can do right now. Can't do nothing else.
All right.
Nah, I'm about to come in on that one.
Go ahead and let him have it, man. Go ahead and give him some wisdom, man.
Man, Stan, like, for one, you gotta do that work, man, dude. You working right now, man. You self-aware, you willing to go to the therapy. I invite you to the infrastructure of man, because they're like what pineapple, like you mentioned, man, like being around the people that help you develop. Because I had that myself when it came down to self-esteem. You know, that's why like a year ago on this day, you know, I had right before I got my teeth fixed. You know, I had to feel like, you know, looking for validation from other people because, you know, people always look at the Colgate commercials and my sister, like everybody else, teeth was nice, you know, pearly white, you know, and then I feared like the judgment, you know, but when I started like being uniquely myself and engaging, you know, like, and letting my authentic self come out, my personality, just being me, that nobody else can be there better than I can. And we're all one of a kind. Like, not even identical twins got the same fingerprint.
Yeah.
You know, they go back to what we were saying the other day, verse, you know, like, would I change my life for anybody else? No. Because we all going through something. But we can't just wait on God. You know what I'm saying? Because God, he already led the way.
And you said it yesterday, and I did, and I talked about it in a lesson too. And Stanford, I really want you to take this in because, you know, we all have some type of faith base, and that's great. That's what we have.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that we have to realize in our faith is we are not waiting on the Most High. The Most High is waiting on us. So like you said, you did a wonderful job. I congratulate you. I applaud you for getting the therapy, doing the therapy. That's this, and I don't know the intricate details of what you got going on. I know that's personal, but you did, you know, what you feel like is the first step, which is getting the therapy. Now you gotta do that. And what we talked about yesterday, 2 days ago, reverse engineering. Where is it that you want to be at with your family? What do you want that to look like? Brother we had on the other day, he said, I want my family to be financially free, financially stable. What did that look like for him? And we reverse engineered that for him. You got to do the same thing, my brother. You got to go and say, I want my family unit to look like this, and then go backwards from there and start figuring out everything that it takes to get to that end point, and then you start moving that way. Because the Most High not gonna move if you ain't moving. You have to move in order for him to move. That's what was the book of James to say, faith without works is dead. Like, you got one work in, great. You got to keep working, keep moving, keep plowing, keep hitting it. And as you continue to put forth the effort, the Most High will reward your efforts. So, you know, you can't, what was that?
And the tongue is so powerful, man. We got to be careful of what come out our mouth, man. Like, and lately I've been saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that my marriage is blossoming, you know, and I've been speaking it. Then I'm seeing like the little things that I wasn't like noticing at first, like what I thought was small was big to my wife, or vice versa. You know, even when it come down to like raising our children, like everything, you know, like it's like when it come down to communication, man, you know, you instead of like always saying something back, you know, sometimes like without making a statement, ask a question.
Yeah.
You know, why you feel that way, you know, because she healing too, you know, like our spouses are healing as well.
Yes.
You know, and the other time, like my wife, she told me that, but I try to fix it from the flesh, not in it wasn't just like spiritually. It was just from the flesh because I thought I could fix it by myself. But the thing is, we can't change anybody. You know, we can only just, you know, pray and ask for strength for them and ask for a change of heart, but we can't change that person. They gotta be willing to change, you know, and just show that.
And the only thing we can do is just keep doing everything we can until the results that we look for. Focus on the process. Don't focus on the results, man. Like, just what steps can I take today, and focus on taking those steps every day. And I'll get your number from Derek, and then, you know, we'll talk a little bit more later, and I can get you caught up, because, you know, that is a big goal. A man and his family, like, a man can't flourish if his family's out of order. And so that's why it's very important. Like, I want you to get that together. I want to help you, you know, take the steps, at least do everything you can to get that together. You can't control your wife. You can't control the other parts of your family. You can't control what somebody else does, but you can put forth every effort you can. So I definitely get your number, and then we can go back over all of the goal setting that we did for that, and I'll call you up and we can do that when you got a moment. All right.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And also, Virgil,
Mm-hmm.
At that time, man, I felt like Jonah.
Yeah.
And wanted to do everything my way.
Yeah.
I've been seeing the sign, but I thought I could fix it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, we'll get an enemy so much credit, but a lot of times it's the Most High. Yeah, come on, it's time to move. So
Yes,
I do thank the Most High for the position that I'm in. Because for one, I'm growing,
mm-hmm.
and then it made me appreciate. It made me appreciate the little things, man.
Yes.
The little things, that matter the most. It's so simple,
Yeah, you weren't on here yesterday, Stanford. Terrence, you weren't either. But one of the things that I've done that I've created and it's helped me immensely is I've created what's called a small wins journal. And I just got it right here on my phone, and literally all the little things, because you go through things in life, things can be overwhelming. But whenever I get a small victory, I write it down in my small wins journal. So that way, even when things are, difficult or trying, or I feel like I'm in a dark, quote unquote, dark place, I can refer back to all of the wins that I had and realize, no, I'm still up. I'm still, man, we in the game. I'm still up 20. Yeah, they didn't went on a 6-0 run. I'm still up 20. So, that's how I look at it. That's what I do. So if, you're going through some things and it's trying and you're like, man, it's things piling up, just keep you a small wins journal. And every little thing that goes right, you just put that on there. And that way you can, quote unquote, keep score. Oh, and then last thing down here, bonus, change what you eat, because the gut is the second brain. A lot of times we don't realize a lot of our fear, a lot of these things is steeped in the things that we eat and how it affects us. The stomach and intestines complete a network that contains more than 500 million nerve cells, 100 million neurons, 30 different neurotransmitters, and 90% of the body's supply of serotonin, one of the major neurochemicals responsible for mood and well-being. This second brain, as scientists have dubbed it, lends some empirical support to the persistent notion of gut instinct. So serotonin deepens feelings of trust and openness. So we have fears in this world, and a lot of times those fears cause us to not be trusting, to shut off, to shut down, things like that. So we have to start implementing in our diet as well things that allow us to secrete more serotonin, or that put serotonin into our body, so that way we can be more open. A lot of us are going through issues with our wives. Like for instance, Alex, you said it's being more patient, listening to listen, not to respond. And sometimes, and I mentioned this earlier the other day about our spouses are not intentionally trying to hurt us. Sometimes we close up and we don't have that full trust in them, because we thinking the things that they're saying is an attack on us. It's not. But we get that serotonin release in our bodies that allows us to open ourselves up and trust our spouses more. And that way we're not responding in a defensive way, but we're listening to respond. We're actually listening to listening, being more understanding, not taking their words as personal attacks. So now it's not that back and forth, that arguing, that bitterness. It's not that bickering. It's not that animosity there, because we've opened ourselves, we've deepened our feelings, and we've connected and been more trusting with our spouse. So got to take care of that gut to do that. A lot of that's tied to it too. Got to do that. Let me see here. For those of y'all who have, want to, learn a little bit more about this, I did a video on my old YouTube channel, The Living Word Initiative. It's called Faith Over Fear, Overcoming Psychological Warfare to Attain Yah's Favor in Our Battle for Salvation. So I went into great detail about fear and how to overcome fear in this video right here. So if you all want to check that out, there's the page at the bottom, Living Word Initiative. That's the title of the video. It's a very enjoyable video. I did it at my congregation. I'm an assistant minister at my congregation. I give lessons probably, Alex, once or twice a month, somewhere around there. Yeah. So this is one of the lessons that I gave year before last. So I want to read a couple a couple of proverbs or whatever, words of wisdom from a couple of other wisdom books and whatnot. Now I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce this word, Vayargaya Shatankam Mahatri. Basically, it's from Sanskrit. So it's verse 31 of Sanskrit, on the Sanskrit text. So it says, in excessive enjoyment, there is the fear of disease. In family's pride, there's the fear of ill reputation. In wealth, there's the fear of kings, now government taxes. In one's own self-respect, there's the fear of humiliation. In power, there is the fear of adversities, of adversaries. In beauty, there's the fear of old age. In their rooted scholarship of the scriptures, there is the fear of losing to the opponent's arguments. In being victorious, and being virtuous, oh my goodness, and being virtuous, good-natured, there is the fear of wicked people, misusing, cheating. In body, there's the fear of death. So for the humans, everything on this earth has one or the other fear associated with it. Therefore, Viagra, which is despised and non-attached toward fame, honor, power, and sensual enjoyment, alone ensures fearlessness. So therefore, dispassion and non-attachment toward fame, honor, power, and sensual enjoyments alone ensures fearlessness. We're put here to enjoy life. You want to enjoy the things that you get. You want to be able to achieve great feats and achieve accomplishments. But you have to understand that those accomplishments can come and they can go. You don't have that attachment to them, but you do enjoy them. So in order for you to lose your fear, you have to lose the attachment that you have to these things. I'm gonna give y'all, for those of y'all who are struggling, or who are, I won't say struggling, going through adversity in your relationship, I'm gonna tell you, when me and my wife first got together, that was one of my greatest fears as well, which is losing my wife. And that fear, what that fear caused me to do was do all of these crazy things. And then one day I said to myself, I said, you know what? If I'm gonna lose my wife, I'm gonna lose my wife doing things the way I know how to do it. I'm not going to lose her trying to please her by doing the things she wants me to do. So what I was doing was I was always trying to please. So every little thing, like I was always trying to do this, always trying to do that. You know, every little thing she wanted to do, I was doing it. But as we know, women blow like the wind. Like women, they all over the place. That's feminine energy. Feminine energy, especially untamed feminine energy, is chaotic. You have to understand that as the man, you're the masculine. You're supposed to be that rock, that never moving rock, that tree that's planted, so that when that feminine energy is flying all over the place, it always has a place to land. You can't go with her running all over the place. You have to stay rooted. But what I was doing was running all over the place, following all of her commands and gestures and grandiose ideas. And I was like, hold on. And guess what? We were still having problems, and still having issues, and still on the brink of separation. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do things my way. And here's the thing: if I'm a loser, I'm a loser. If she ain't meant for me, ain't nothing I can do to keep her. And if she meant for me, ain't nothing I can do to lose her. So let me do things in my masculine energy. Let me do things how I know how to do it, and let's run like that. Let's run the play like that. And we've butted heads, but I've stayed firm in what it is that I've wanted to do. And she's respecting me for that. And we've had, some issues still, every couple does, but now we're in a great place. We're very supportive of one another. She understands what it is that I want to do, my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, and she's supportive of that and vice versa. But that came because I severed that connection to her. Now, I love my wife immensely. I don't want to lose my wife. I love my family that I've built with my wife. I enjoy and I know how powerful my wife is in my life. But I severed that attachment that I had to my wife. So if my wife decides she want to get up and leave tomorrow, I'm just going to be thankful for the time that I did have with her. Not going to shed one tear. I may shed a tear. I ain't gonna lie. I might cry, but I'm going to be able to continue to keep moving forward because there's that attachment that is there. I love my wife, but that attachment isn't there. So and I'm able to fully enjoy her without that attachment of fear. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Hopefully that helps some of you all who are going through your trials and tribulations with your spouse. We have here, Nigerian proverb. It is the fear of offense that makes men swallow poison. A lot of us do things we don't want to do because of fear. We fear something. We fear the actions of somebody else. We fear something might happen. So we allow ourselves to do things and end up in situations that we don't want to end up in because of the fear of something else. I'm going to give you all a great quote. Conflict avoided is conflict multiplied. So whenever you try to avoid conflict, then the conflict actually becomes multiplied. So you have to face the adversity. Scripture tells us, look the devil right in his face, look the enemy right in his face, stand right in his face, look him right in the face and confront him. So whatever your adversity is, look it right in the face and confront it. Simple. So that way you don't allow conflict to be multiplied. And then I have one more thing here from the Quran. And it says, and we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and the loss of wealth and lives and fruits. But give good tidings to the patient who, when disaster strikes them, say, indeed, we belong to the source. And indeed, to him we will return. So no matter what's going on, if you stay patient in it, even through all your tests, then you will be rewarded for your patience. So you have to make sure that even when, those signs of fear come, you just stay patient. You stay planted like that tree that you're supposed to be. You stay planted and allow everything to pass. And I tell y'all, and some of y'all know, just 3 weeks ago, I was catching hell. But guess what? 3 weeks later, my whole life is different right now. I ain't do nothing drastic. I ain't do nothing crazy. I almost lost my rocker, but I didn't. So you all have to make sure we stay in planning, especially when it comes to our wives and our family and the goals that we want to set, goals that we have set. So I want to talk about our 21-day fast. Derek, what's your favorite part of the fast so far?
The discipline.
Good. Okay. All right. Alex, what about you? What's your favorite part of the fast so far?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be torn between the fact that I feel like I'm seeing the results in a way, and at the same time, the favorite like single action would just be praying every night with my kids, because I mean, I feel like that's something I've been wanting to do, but for some reason made an excuse every night.
Okay. All right. I know for me personally, my favorite part of the fast is just like I can feel a difference mentally, physically. Like I feel lighter mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I feel lighter, and that's the greatest thing. Like I was feeling heavy for a long time, feeling like a lot of weight was on me. But this fast has allowed me to loosen some of that weight, and I feel a lot lighter now, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Stanford, if you want to jump in, and Terrence, if y'all want to jump in, what it is, few things that you want to fast from, physical things. So, food, whatever it is, it could be anything. Like everyone has something different. And then your character traits that you want to fast from, negative character traits that you may have, whether it be procrastination, whether it may be paralysis by analysis, whatever it may be. Y'all could choose those things and then, start tomorrow if you want to. We are on, what is this, day 5, fellas? Day 6, right?
Yeah, day 6, because technically New Year's was the first day.
Yeah. So yeah, this is day 6 of the fast. So the fellas that didn't start, that's fine. You can start now. We are in day 6 of 21. What's good, Sanchez? How you doing? How you doing this evening?
Shalom, Aki. I'm here, man.
Okay,
how you doing?
All right. Yes, sir. Doing beautiful, man. We about finished up. We about to get into this reading. We're just talking about the fast that we've been doing for the last 6 days. Just going through what are some of the things that we really enjoyed about the fast. But it is recorded, so I'm gonna put recordings up so you'll be able to catch everything else later. All right.
All right, cool.
All right. So Stanford and Terrence, if y'all want to jump in, y'all plan on jumping in on the fast?
Yeah, I'm just trying to jump in.
Okay. All right. I'll jump in on the fast, and like I said, it could be anything. You even got to fast from foods. You can just fast from certain character traits or whatever. It's up to you. It's your fast. Whatever you feel like you need to do and fast from in order to take that that sacrifice back to the Most High, so He can help you achieve whatever your goal is. That's that. And then Stanford, like I said, when I talk to you, then we'll lay all of this out. We'll get all of this set up for you so that way you can be on track. All right. All right. So last thing we have here is I want to do a reading. We're going to do a reading for a couple of moments. From Letters to a Young Brother. We're going to continue reading. We was in letter 4 yesterday. Is that correct, fellas? We was in letter 4 yesterday. So I'm going to continue on where I was at in letter 4. So far, let me make sure I got this right.
Yeah, it was a little bit after he talked about what was the basketball movie? He Got Game?
Yeah, He Got Game, yeah.
A little bit after that.
Okay. So right now, he's basically talking about the importance of education. And also, so basically, Letters to a Young Brother is a book about how this individual, Hill Harper, became pen pals with a teenager or a kid, teenager, yeah. And so him and a couple of other famous people, they would, the kid would ask them for advice and stuff like that, and then they would write them letters to give them advice. Because, these kids, they may not have father figures in their life or whatever their home situation may be. So, we're reading this book just as encouragement to us, because at the end of the day, we're men trying to be rebuilt as well. So I just felt like, this book would be a great book to help us rebuild ourselves. So right now, he's basically talking about the importance of education and the importance of not going in debt. One of the things he said is only 2 pieces of debt that you should ever incur: the debt of education and the debt of your home. Everything else, you should not live above your means. So if you want to buy a car that you can afford cash. Don't get car payments, whatever it is. That's what he was telling the kid right now. So we're a little bit past that. So I'm going to read here. Even if you don't own a computer, you can get online at your local library and start exploring things that might interest you. Being around at this time in history affords us a huge opportunity. Technology can level the playing field for all of us, and that is something to get excited about. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. Education is there for your benefit. For example, yesterday I went with my friend Nicole to her Uncle Grady's funeral. We both felt the debt of gratitude to Uncle Grady, and I was proud I had stayed in touch with him over the years. Uncle Grady worked all of his life as a cook at a local diner. He had to drop out of school in the 10th grade to support his younger brother and sisters after his father was killed, but that didn't stop him from learning. For someone with little formal education, he had an extensive book collection. He loved to learn and consistently told Nicole and me and any other child within earshot that education was the key to a better life. Uncle Grady taught himself, but he originally wanted to go to college and become a teacher. He figured he'd have his chance after his brother and 2 sisters graduated. But by that time, he felt too old and too responsible for his mom to leave her. His private dream became a public campaign to get all the children in his family and all their friends to attend college. He assured the reluctant ones that even an associate's degree from a junior college will be a great help in life as well as in getting a job. He searched for scholarship information for those interested in college. He helped out with spending money for college students, sometimes as many as 10 at one time. Uncle Grady was a determined man, and I know he wanted to see me get an education. I wanted to make him proud, and I did. And I think I did. And I want you to make me proud. And that means you getting an education, you dig? I was talking to Kanye West the other day, and he said the same thing I'm talking about. He said, use school. Don't let school use you. You know what? He's absolutely right. But the key is the use school, which means stay in the game. Get education to work for you. Use it. It's a resource. It's a tool. Hey, I got to run. I can't wait to hear back from you, because in the next letter, we need to discuss how running up a bunch of debt in school does us absolutely no good if we don't know how to work hard and, more importantly, work smart. I know that sounds strange, but we'll have to discuss it later, because right now I got to go. I have to get to a fundraiser for the NAACP new president, Bruce Gordon. I heard he's a pretty cool guy. Remember, you control school. You got that. Hit me back. Let me know what you're on. Let me know when you're on the same page, all right? Grace, peace, and blessings out. Then we got, then they do a couple of other response letters. So here's letters right here. Hill, I want to go to a good college, but I'm not good at taking tests. What should I do? Somebody else wrote him that letter. So here's his response, and he's going to probably have somebody else respond later. Hey, man, first of all, you need to know that no one is born good at taking tests. It is a learned skill, like riding a bicycle or playing a piano. Someone has to teach you the skill, and then you have to practice and practice in order to get better. There are businesses set up just to teach test-taking skills. These are expensive, but many of them give grants to kids from families without a lot of income. Also, there are old test materials available for free in libraries, and some of them can even be bought cheaply. Your school may have an old SAT that you can use for practice. After you master the content and subject, you must practice, practice, practice. I was never good at taking tests, but when I found out that you can learn how to master standardized test taking, I learned that every SAT test was pretty much the same format. And all they did was just change the facts in the questions. So once you master one, you've mastered them all. I went from being a horrible test taker to scoring in the top 97 percentile in the country because I practiced taking tests. It was a lot of hard work, but so worth it. And you can do it too. All right, so that was the end of that letter 4. For those of y'all who are new, who just popped in, you didn't get really much of a backdrop, but it was some very important key points that he brought out even in the part that we did read. And I'm real big on transferable skills. So he talked about not using school, not letting school use you, but you using school. That's the same thought process we have to have in life. Like, we can't allow life to use us. And there's a quote that says, either you choose the life you're going to live or somebody going to choose it for you. And many of us, because of our upbringing or whatever, are living a life that we didn't choose. We're doing things in life that we didn't choose. We just went along to get along. So we have to start utilizing all the tools that are necessary in life for us to live this life that it is that we want to live. We have to figure out what works for us and exemplify that and do that every single day. We have to. Also, there was another part that he said, what was it at? In regards to being good at something. I know, using Alex as an example. Alex, you want to get better at being able to just pray on the spot in your congregation. And you can use that example that he just gave with the test taking. Like, nobody is born good at, a lot of things. Some of us, we have natural skills, but even those of us with natural skills, if it's not honed in on, it could become a liability more than an asset. So once you figure out what it is that you want to do or something that you want to be better in, a lot of us want to be better fathers, better providers, better businessmen, better all of these things. You have to practice it. So if you want to be a better father, you have to continue to study what it is to be a father and then implement what it is that you learn. And some of the information you get, it may not work. You may have to go back to the drawing board. You want to be a better husband, you got to study what it takes to be a husband and then practice it every day. So one of the key components of being a better husband is being understanding, patient, and being someone who listens. When you learn that, you have to practice that. So guess what? You're going to get tried in order to practice the skill sets. So your wife is going to nag you. Your wife is going to come to you with a problem that you like, I don't want to, this is not even important. That's not, though, for those of y'all who have read The Way of the Superior Man, the author explains this in the book. Your wife isn't there to nag you and bug you. Your wife is there to refine you as the man you say you want to be. Spiritually, that's her job. Sometimes she doesn't even know. Sometimes she doesn't even realize she's being used in order to make you a better man. So one of the examples they gave in the book was, you just got this big raise and you just closed on this big promotion at work, and you come home and you want to celebrate, and your wife is like, but I asked you to stop to the store and get milk and eggs and you didn't stop. I don't care about your promotion. Now you hurt. But the whole point of that example, or the whole point of that test, was to keep you locked in, not to get set in on your achievements. To realize, hey, yeah, I achieved this, but guess what? I ain't fully whole yet. Dang, I forgot the milk and the egg. I'm still I'm a worker, but I'm also a husband. So your wife, most times your wife is there. So I've got to remember, our spouses, unless you have a spouse that you don't agree with this statement, then you might need to make some other decisions. But your spouse is not there to intentionally hurt you. So knowing that and understanding that, start looking at the tests and the trials and tribulations that they bring forth to you as practices to become the man that it is that you want to be. Do anyone have anything else they would they read they want to add that stuck out to them that they want to talk about real quick? All right. So nobody has anything. Does anybody have any questions on the actual lesson, overcoming fears, how to deal with fears, the importance of not fearing, anything like that? Anybody have any questions or concerns or comments on that? Nope, everybody good. So I appreciate everybody being on here today. Make sure you all, I'm here every night. Same Zoom link, 9:30 p.m. We're going to move the time up starting, well, maybe Sunday. We're going to move the time up for the next few days, though. We will be here at 9:30 p.m. This isn't a secret society. Derek did a great job of bringing somebody in. If you know anybody who could benefit from meeting with a group of men that we can build our goals with, hold each other accountable, pour into each other, uplift one another. If you know somebody who could benefit from this, spread the word, let them know, bring them in, have them come in. Whether you know 1 man, 10 man, 30 man, bring them in. There's no limitation. We're here to help men. No one has anything else. I appreciate you all being here. You all have a beautiful evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening with your family.
All right, shalom, man.
All right.
All right. Have a good one. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Y'all too.